Morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, depending on where you are. I'm Jong Woong Kim and working as a swine nutritionist for Easy Family. First of all, I deeply thanks for giving me this opportunity to share this talk in this seminar. Today, I'll be talking about impact of immune stimulation on energy and amino acid needs of pigs, what a feed nutritionist needs to know. Dietary energy ingested by pigs from the feed is used for maintenance purposes such as digestion of feed and blood circulation, and respiration, and endocrine and immune system. Also, pigs are utilizing energy for their physical activity. The excess energy is deposited as body protein and lipids. However, under the abnormal circumstances such as pathogen or virus infections or the environmental stress such as space, a high or cold temperature, and sanitary condition, more energy are needed to defend body through immune system stimulation. Therefore, pigs are able to use less energy for protein and lipid deposition, and growth performance are impaired. During immune system stimulation, as I mentioned in previous slide, additional maintenance energy is required for the production of cytokines and acute phase protein, in short APP, leukocyte proliferation, and fever response, and catabolism of muscle protein to break down the protein to amino acid used for immune system. As you can see in this nice figure, energy used for the fat and protein deposition is decreased by about 50% due to the increase in energy used for immune system. Due to the less energy available for protein and lipid deposition, the growth performance of pigs is significantly reduced during the immune system stimulation. This figure shows the percentage difference of average daily gain, feed intake, and gain-to-feed ratio of immune system challenged pigs compared to the unchallenged, in other words, healthy pigs. The average percentage difference of ADG and ADFI and gain-to-feed ratio were reduced by 39 and 24 and 22% respectively. This tells us that energy requirement in manuals, for example NRC, may not be correct if immune system of pigs is stimulated. Inducing immune challenge to mimic the pathogen or virus infection, these four experimental methodologies are commonly used. First one is liposaccharide, in short LPS, the endotoxin of E. coli challenge model. Repeated intramuscular injections of LPS induce the increased acute phase protein production, resulting in fever and cytokine production. The direct oral administration of E. coli caused diarrhea and intestine infection and cytokine production and fever. E. coli infection is commonly occurred in weaning pigs, and therefore E. coli challenge model is widely used in weaned pig studies. Subcutaneous injection of turpentine oil increased APP production and fever, and pneumoniaa challenge caused the lung inflammation and pneumonia and fever. Among these challenge models, the LPS and E. coli challenge models are the most widely used in pig study due to its methodological advantages. Not only pathogen infection, but also house boundary practice affect aspects of pig health. Amount of feed intake and stressful condition and sanitary condition and disease will affect gut health and immune system and therefore growth of pigs. Here is one nice example of different sanitary condition. Let's take a look at effect of sanitation on serum haptoglobin levels in pigs. The haptoglobin is an acute phase protein considered a good biomarker of health status. The high haptoglobin levels indicate stressful situation due to poor sanitation conditions. The red bar represents the haptoglobin level of pigs raised in good sanitary condition, and blue bar indicates haptoglobin level of pigs raised in poor sanitary condition. We can see the big difference between two sanitary conditions, and this will definitely affect growth of pigs. According to the meta-analysis of feed intake and growth responses of growing pigs after a sanitary challenge, the low sanitary challenge resulted in 16.3% reduction in ADG. Among these, 12.2% was due to reduced feed efficiency, may caused by increased maintenance needs due to immune system stimulation. In other words, reduced feed intake in low sanitary condition partly explain the growth retardation, but the large portion of ADG reduction is caused by immune system. Increased energy expenditure for immune system lowered the energetic efficiency during immune system stimulation. Theoretically, during immune system stimulation, resting or fasting heat production, in short FHP, by pigs may increase because fasting heat production represents baser energy requirement of pigs. However, the limited information is available on this topic. I'd like to briefly talk about one challenge study investigating the effect of LPS challenge on energy utilization, specifically energy metabolism of piglet. In their study, to calculate the digestibility of nutrients and energy, the feces and urines were collected and heat production was measured for 2 days to calculate heat production and the fasting production of control pigs and LPS challenged pigs. Pigs were repeatedly injected by LPS on day 10, 12, and 14, and 16 to mimic the E. coli infection, and the blood and rectal temperature were collected to check that infection was occurred in piglet. Here is the result of the study. As they designed and as they inspected, LPS challenge successfully induced the immune system stimulation, showing increasing rectal temperature on day 10, right after the LPS injection. Also, the cytokines including interleukin-1 beta, interleukin-6, and interleukin-8 and TNF-alpha were significantly increased in pigs challenged with LPS compared to control pigs. Due to the immune system stimulation, the average daily gain during day 10 to 16, when pigs were subjected to the LPS challenge, were significantly impaired compared to the control pigs. This table shows the energy expenditure of pigs. Total heat production of LPS challenged pigs were greater than normal pigs. However, the fasting heat production were not statistically different, although it was numerically greater. The retained energy and ME for maintenance were not statistically different. However, the RPS challenged peaks required more energy for ME for maintenance and retained less energy compared to the control groups. The high variation of indirect calorimetry method partly explained the insignificant effect. And there is another paper regarding effect of immune system stimulation on amino acid and energy utilization in growing finishing peaks using low sanitary condition model, not a LPS challenge model. They raised peaks in two different sanitary conditions. The one is low sanitary condition, and the other one is high sanitary condition. And growth performance and heat production were measured. As you can see this table here, the low sanitary condition negatively affect growth and feed efficiency of growing finishing pigs. And this was because of higher maintenance need for low sanitary condition pigs than high sanitary condition pigs. Furthermore, the fasting production, which represent baser energy requirement of pigs, was higher in low sanitary condition than high sanitary condition. It was about 7%, and this may explain the reduced growth of pigs in a low sanitary condition. As a summary of immune system stimulation and energy metabolism, the immune system stimulation significantly affects energy metabolism due to production of cytokines and APP and leukocyte and fever. Increased energy expenditure for immune system increased total heat production, resting heat production, and fasting heat production by pigs. A proper experimental model is essential because reduced feed intake during the infection affect the heat production by pigs during immune system stimulation. The next topic I'm going to talk about is immune system stimulation and amino acid metabolism. The health status affect amino acid requirement of pigs due to immune system stimulation. A decreased growth and protein deposition of immune-stimulated pigs were caused by depressed feed intake, modified nutrient metabolism, and specifically amino acid utilization to support the immune system, and additional need for specific amino acid. Antibiotic growth promoters, in short AGP, have been banned in many countries due to its public concerns against antibiotic resistance bacteria and residues in meat, and antibiotic growth promoter free production systems increase disease pressure. From now on, I'll be focused on a series of studies investigating immune system stimulation and amino acid metabolism. The overall hypothesis of the studies were, first, amino acid requirement for piglet under AGP-free diet would be higher than those on AGP diet. Second, a requirement for the amino acid involved in the immune system modulation are higher for immune-challenged pigs, and the sulfur-containing amino acid, including methionine and cysteine and threonine and the tryptophan, were the target amino acid. They used the sanitary challenge model to induce immune system stimulation of piglet and investigate mode of action. For the justification of sanitary challenge model, they measured the ammonia and hydrogen sulfide in both clean and unclean condition. The ammonia and hydrogen sulfide concentration was higher in clean condition than unclean condition. A high ammonia and hydrogen sulfide level irritate the respiratory system and reduce feed intake, and therefore decrease growth performance in pigs. The first paper, titled Effect of Dietary Threonine to Lysine Ratio and Sanitary Conditions on Performance in Plasma Urea Nitrogen and Plasma-Free Threonine and Lysine of Wind pigs, was published in Animal Nutrition. The hypothesis was the requirement for threonine to lysine ratio will be higher when piglets are subjected to an immune system challenge. And the objective was determine the optimum SID threonine to lysine ratio for wind piglet reared in clean or unclean sanitary condition. A total of 180 mixed-sex pigs weaned at 21 days were randomly assigned to one of 10 treatments according to 2x5 factorial arrangement with 6 replicates per treatment. Main factors were sanitary condition, the clean versus unclean, and 5 dietary SID threonine to lysine ratio, the 50, the 59, 63, 67, and the 71%. Pigs were fed experimental diet for 42 days. Corn, wheat, and soybean meal basal diet with a constant SID lysine of 1.18% that was said to be the second limiting amino acid were fed to pigs, and pigs were kept in clean room, which was disinfected before arrival and cleaned weekly, and unclean room, which was never cleaned during experiment, and poured with manure from sow barns. This figure shows the effect of sanitation on growth performance and plasma urea nitrogen concentration of wind piglet. The blue bar and red bar represent pigs in clean room and unclean room respectively. As you can see here, the growth performance including ADG, ADFI, and final body weight was less in clean room than unclean room condition. And plasma urea nitrogen, which indicates amino acid catabolism, was higher in pigs raised in unclean room than clean room. This figure shows the broken line regression using gain to feed ratio as a response criteria. The optimal SID threonine to lysine ratio of pigs raised in clean condition was observed at 65%. However, the value was 66.5% when pigs were kept in unclean condition. This is because sanitation conditions can alter nutrient requirement in piglet, and such changes may be a lot higher in antibiotic-free diet. As a summary and conclusions of the study, the first, unclean conditions reduced ADG and AD5, and second, increasing SID threonine to lysine increased plasma-free threonine, and third, the plasma-free lysine higher in unclean than clean conditions. And finally, optimal SID threonine to lysine ratio was higher in unclean condition than in clean condition. The second study I'd like to talk about is about SID tryptophan to lysine ratio. The hypothesis was under unclean condition, wind pigs will require higher tryptophan to lysine than clean conditions, and the objective was determine the optimum SID tryptophan to lysine ratio for weaned piglet reared in clean or unclean condition. Similar to the treonin study, a total of 180 mixed-sex pigs weaned at 21 days were randomly assigned to 1 of 10 treatment according to 2 by 5 factorial arrangement with 6 replicate per treatment. The main factors were sanitary condition, clean and unclean, and the 5 dietary SID tryptophan to lysine ratio, 16, 18, 20, 22, and 24%. As observed in treonin study, the pigs kept in clean condition have greater average daily gain and gain to feed ratio compared to the unclean pigs. Sanitation conditions altered ileal histomorphology in piglet. The villus height and creep depth in pigs raised in clean room was higher than unclean room, as you can see the picture under the graph. This figure shows the broken line regression using ADG as a response criteria. The optimal SID tryptophan to lysine ratio of pigs raised in clean condition was observed at 19.7%. However, the value was 20.5% when pigs were kept in unclean condition. The optimal SID tryptophan to lysine for ADG, the unclean condition was higher, it's about 4% than unclean condition. In addition to piglet study, the gain to feed of growing finishing pigs kept in low sanitary condition was significantly improved when supplemental amino acid was added to the diet. Interestingly, there was no improvement in pigs raised in high sanitary condition, even though additional amino acid were supplemented in the diet. This result also indicates the increased amino acid requirement of immune system stimulated pigs. For the overall conclusion, the pigs raised under suboptimal health conditions and fed AGP-free diet might require higher dietary amino acid requirement. And ensuring adequate diet amino acid content is critical to maintaining acceptable piglet performance under suboptimal conditions. And the studies I mentioned in this talk tell us that maintaining high standards of cleanliness in the nursery is critical to optimal piglet performance, and unclean conditions reduce ADG and ADFI. The unclean condition shift nutrient requirement is likely to support the immune system. Unclean conditions negatively affect gut morphology, which is predisposes piglet to poor gut health outcome. As an implication, the pigs raised in low sanitary condition require more energy and amino acid compared to pigs in high sanitary condition. This is due to high energy for maintenance, and lower protein digestibility, and lower incremental efficiency of nitrogen intake retained as body protein. When we formulate commercial diet, the energy and amino acid concentration should be higher than NRC requirement because sanitary conditions of most commercial farms are less than experimental facility. Okay, so this is all I have for this seminar. Thanks for your attention for a long time in this presentation. And if you have any question, Feel free to ask me anytime through this email. Thank you.